The day is finally here. Iron Banner, for the first time since Forsaken, is finally seeing new weapons added to the loot pool, starting with today's Iron Banner. Now, these weapons that are coming to the loot pool come in the form of the Archon's Thunder Machine Gun and the Riiswalker Shotgun, respectively. And if you read the lore, these weapons are actually made by an Elixni weaponsmith, so fallen weapons in the Iron Banner. Pretty damn cool theme. Now, we're also getting 2 reissued weapons, which is Bungie's norm for Iron Banner, so old weapons and new perks. Of course, these weapons never had random rolls, that is the sniper rifle and the hand cannon, so we're going to be going over those as well as the 2 new weapons, and we're going to be ranking them from best to worst in today's video, going over the individual god rolls for every single weapon, as well as how to farm them out during this week's Iron Banner. This video is to serve a bit as a loot preview for you guys, to kind of nudge you all in the right direction, let you all know, hey, you know, this is the weapon that I should be chasing, and these are the rolls that I should keep a lookout for. Now, before we do jump into it, if you guys do enjoy the content today, definitely feel free to subscribe. I would definitely love to have you here on the channel. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the video and talk about how you're going to get your hands on these weapons. So, Iron Banner pretty much functions the same every single season. You jump into the Iron Banner, you finish your matches, and you have a chance for a loot drop at the end. You're also able to grab 4 bounties per character that give 50 tokens each, meaning that you'll get 200 tokens by the end, which means 20 Iron Banner engrams. And of course, you also have the seasonal quest that Saladin will give you when you talk to him, and we actually already have those quest steps, so I'll go ahead and throw them up on the screen. For the first step, you need to kill 30 guardians, capture 10 zones, and get 10 arc or void ability kills. For the second, you need to complete 6 matches, capture 20 zones, and get 20 hand cannon kills. For the third, you need to defeat 100 guardians, capture 30 zones, and get 10 sniper rifle kills. For the fourth, you need 15 melee kills, 40 zones, and 10 shotgun kills. And by the way, keep in mind that these zones don't always reset back to 0. You're going to be going from 30 to 40, so just 10 more zones. And for the final step, all you need to do is get 15 super kills, 25 match points, and 3 machine gun kills. Then return to Lord Saladin, complete your quest, and by the end of it, you should have a bunch of the new Iron Banner loot. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the actual weapons and what god rolls you should be chasing for them. Now, starting off with the weapons, we're just going to go ahead and jump into this with by far the best weapon in this list, the Riiswalker, and it doesn't even come close. This is a new legendary kinetic shotgun, and it's of the lightweight frame. Now, the lightweight frame might ring a couple bells because ever since back during Season of Arrivals, a lightweight frame that has definitely been on the radar of many has been the 7th Seraph shotgun. This has been used by a lot of PvP players over the course of the past few seasons, and here is a direct comparison of the 7th Seraph shotgun with the Riiswalker. As you can tell, Riiswalker excels in the range, stability, handling, reload speed, and aim assist, but that's not what makes this weapon good. There's 2 things in particular that make this weapon very good. The first of which is the fact that it is a kinetic shotgun, meaning that you can equip this shotgun and have a whole new avenue of weapons that you can use, like the Igneous Hammer, the new Trials SMG, Bottom Dollar, Palindrome, etc. So you can use all of these weapons that you couldn't use with 7th Seraph, but the main thing that separates this weapon from the 7th Seraph is the absolute insane perk rolls that you can get on this weapon. Taking a look at the barrels, we have the traditional rifled barrel or full choke, rifled giving you more range and full choke reducing your pellet spread. For the magazine, we have accurized rounds for plus 10 to range. For the first column, we have either slideways or quick draw, and me personally, I'm going to be going for quick draw seeing as it was removed on the aggressive frame shotguns, but slideways is definitely a very respectable perk here, and even surplus, but honestly, I would push you to go ahead and get a different roll if you do get surplus, but it's definitely passable. And for the final column, this is the doozy. We have Vorpal Weapon at the bottom and Iron Reach at the top. This is going to improve your weapon's range by 20 and reduce the stability by 30. And as we all know, stability on a shotgun doesn't matter. Now, if you were able to get the absolute god roll, I'm talking rifled barrel, accurized rounds, quick draw, iron reach, range masterwork, etc., this is what the stats of your weapon would be looking like. Yes, that does indeed say 96 range. pretty damn insane. Now, will it outgun a Fellwinter's Lie? I'm not entirely sure. What makes the Fellwinter so good is the fact that its pellet spread is so tight, meaning that pellets are going to be hitting more often from a farther range. Fellwinters could have less range overall, but because of the way the pellet spread is, more pellets are going to hit you from farther away and might be able to outgun you. However, this weapon right here, the Riiswalker, definitely has a more high-octane playstyle. You can swap to it faster, you can run faster while using it, and you can be very snappy with this weapon, and you don't have to main your shotgun in your hands. You can always swap to it last second if you do get in a pinch. So it definitely comes with its bonuses, and honestly, this might become my new main shotgun going into the season, and I'm very excited to get my hands on it. Now, moving on from there, we have the sniper rifle, the Occluded Finality, and this weapon right here comes to fill a void that was recently taken away from us all. Now, if you guys aren't familiar, one of my favorite snipers in the game is the Eye of Saul with the specific role of Snapshot Opening Shot. Well, you can't get this role anymore for some reason during this season. Just for some reason, they updated Eye of Saul's perks when they brought it back to the loot pool and got rid of Opening Shot in that first column. Well, Occluded Finality is of the same archetype and actually comes with this same role. So as far as the roles go, you could go with something like No Distractions, which recently got buffed and helps you a lot with your flinch, but mainly the role that I would go for is Snapshot Sights and Opening Shot, and if you don't feel as though you need the aim assist from Opening Shot, you can do Snapshot Vorpal, and you will definitely be good to go on that front. Of course, unlike the Eye of Saul, this weapon is an arc damage sniper rifle, and it does have a pretty decent amount of zoom, so if you can get past the fact that the scope is a bit different and the fact that this is an energy sniper rifle, if you were looking for a snapshot opening shot role, then the Occluded Finality might be for you. Of course, Occluded Finality does have a pretty decent PvE role as well. If you were to get this thing for PvE, you could probably go with auto-loading holster and Vorpal. Unfortunately, it doesn't have things like triple tap or field prep, but you might find this weapon useful in some in-game activities like Grandmasters to be able to do some really high damage on champions or pop some shields from a distance. Now, moving on over from the Occluded Finality, we have the Archon's Thunder Machine Gun. Now, this right here is of the high impact frame archetype, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of high impact frames. It is a solar machine gun, and taking a look at the roles, we have things like accurized rounds, rangefinder, and rampage for PvP, and I would say that that's a pretty decent role. You could definitely deal a lot of damage from range, but I don't know that many people that use machine guns in PvP, mainly because there's plenty of other weapons to get super easy free kills with. Now, Archon's Thunder does have a pretty decent array of PvE perks. You could go with stuff like Appended Mag, Tac Mag, or Extended Mag for the magazine, go with things like Field Prep for the extra reserves, or Rangefinder to reduce the fall off damage, and of course Rampage for the extra damage after a kill. I could see this thing potentially being useful for activities that have the match game modifier, so you need a specific kind of element. The only other solar LMG in the game that I can think of is the Thermal Erosion from Beyond Light, and I'm really not a fan of that archetype. It's very fast firing, it doesn't deal as much damage per bullet, and I much prefer this archetype. It's more like the 7th Seraph Saw, but unfortunately, unlike the 7th Seraph Saw, you can't exactly get, Warmind cells to spawn with this weapon, so if you're not using it in-game content and we're comparing it purely off of another weapon of the same archetype, the 7th Seraph Saw is going to win every single time. It's going to have the damage from the actual bullets, and it's also going to have massive amounts of ad clear because of the Warmind cell potential. But if machine guns do find themselves in the meta, especially if there's some artifact mods that might need them, or if you need specifically a solar machine gun for an activity, then Archon's Thunder can fill that void. Now, the last weapon that I want to talk about in today's video is actually the Finite Impactor. Now, I'm very sad about this weapon. I really wanted the Finite Impactor to be good because I've recently really been getting into 140 hand cannons. However, this weapon right here, it's not all that good. To give you guys an idea on the stats of the Finite Impactor, let's go ahead and compare it to the king of 140s, the Palindrome. Of course, it gets beat out by Palindrome in range, stability, handling, reload speed, aim assist, everything under the sun. It basically gets beat out by Palindrome. But let's compare it to something else, because Palindrome might be a little bit unfair because it is known as by far the best 140. Well, let's compare it to Dire Promise. It gets beat out by the range, it gets beat out by the handling, by the reload speed, the magazine, the aim assist. It's just not that great of a hand cannon on paper. Taking a look at the rolls that you can get on this hand cannon, for the magazine you go with things like ricochet rounds or high cal. For the first column we have an interesting pick with no distraction, so if you don't want to get flinched as often during your gunfights, that's actually something that I don't think I've ever seen on a hand cannon before. And you also have killing wind under that, and then of course in the second slot you have stuff like multi-kill clip for extra damage. Now there is some sort of potential with Iron Reach in the second column combined with heating up. Of course, getting a kill with heating up is going to help out your accuracy, and Iron Reach in the second column, of course, basically makes your accuracy horrible. So you might be able to find some synergy between heating up and Iron Reach to be able to, you know, get a kill, get your first kill, and then have heating up activate and kind of temper down your weapon for the rest of the gunfights that you end up getting yourself into. However, I feel as though this is a little bit of too much gymnastics basically to try to get it on the level of something like Palindrome, and at the end of the day I would just use Palindrome 100% of the time anyways, as it's not only better in stats, but there's also an Adept version where you can get something like Adept Icarus and further increase the range as well as all the other stats because, well, it is Adept. So Finite Impactor definitely at the bottom of the list because it doesn't really serve a purpose whatsoever. It is an arcane cannon, but there's plenty of weapons out there that do that job in PvE, so it doesn't really fit in PvE either. But guys, that is it for this video. We went ahead and went over all of the Iron Banner weapons in today's video, starting from the Riiswalker, ending with the Finite Impactor. Let me know what you all think down in the comments down below. What are the God Rolls that you're chasing? What are the weapons that you specifically want, etc. For me personally, I'm going to be streaming on Twitch sometime after this video goes live, as I'm going to be grinding the ever-living hell out of Iron Banner because I want that Riiswalker God Roll. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you did like it, and if you're new here, definitely feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.